So I just filmed this whole video and it was really good and really funny, and then apparently I can't edit with the video files that this camera makes, and it's this or my phone, and my phone is worse quality than this, believe it or not. So we're just gonna do a crappy one take and hope that I don't screw up too bad. I'm sorry. My name is Miranda. Happy Monday. I'm gonna be holding down the Monday fort on this channel, which should be fun. I will make Mondays exciting. I am 17, I'm a Hufflepuff and a Shadow Hunter and a Nerd Fighter and a Firster, and I like cats, and I have a pet squirrel, and that's really all you need to know about me. So I'm going to answer these questions that we're supposed to be answering now. The first one is, when and how did you first realize you loved writing? I've always been a writer. When I was little, like as far back as my conscious memory goes, I would always make up stories about the people around me and about the things that were going on, and I would always like dramatize and fictionalize everything, and I like telling stories to people. And then as I got older, I started writing those things down and like writing novels and all that kind of stuff. So I've always been a writer. Who was your greatest literary inspiration and why? I like the way a lot of people write, and I don't really choose inspiration as like whose writing do you like best. I think that inspiration for me comes from the way people live their lives, and so with that I have to go with John Green, because he's living his dream, and he is an incredible writer, and he's got, you know, a beautiful family, and he's so close with all of his fans, and he's just a really good guy. I want to be someone like that. What is your favorite style? I don't even know what that question means, so I'm not even going to answer it. Whose style do you imitate the most? I like to think I have a crazy, weird style all my own. I write the way I talk in almost a stream of consciousness kind of way a lot of times. Some people think it's boring, but I don't know. I like that stuff, so whatever. What is your favorite genre or subject on which to write? Mostly I just write, like, I guess young adult fiction, and I sort of draw a lot on my past experiences, and my characters tend to be made up of a million little tiny things. I can't talk. A million little tiny things about people that I know, like those little traits go into my characters, and that makes them, and I just really got away from the question there. Okay, moving on. What do you think is the greatest flaw in your writing? Like Ino said, I just don't write well. Like, I'm 17, I haven't had time to really form my writing. I don't know, yep, we're moving on. What is your favorite thing about your writing? I have done a very good job in my years as a high school student of soaking up those annoying little tips that your English teacher gives about how to write standardized essays, you know, like varying your syntax and using big words. I do that well, I think. What attracts you to writing in general? Why do you love it? I write because I feel like it's something that I have to do in order to continue existing. Does that answer that question? Top 3 sources of inspiration: things that have happened to me, fictionalizing my own past, dreams that I've had, fictionalizing, well, I guess dreams are fiction anyway, but just sort of like exaggerating, and then little things out of other books. Like, I don't steal entire plot lines from books, but every now and then if I read a sentence that's really funny, I'll just go with that and run with it and take it somewhere completely different. Your dreams: be published, be a critical success, what? I'd like to be a photojournalist, so I guess if you count journalist as being published, that. Do you write fan fiction? My OTP is Rahul. I don't write fan fiction, but I am an avid reader of Ino's fan fiction. I'm sorry, Ino, I love you. What are some of the most prevalent themes in your work? This is something I'd like to get away from, but most of the time, the times that I am able to sit down and write are times like when I'm upset about something, or when I'm like really sad or angry, like negative emotions. So that negative emotions are kind of a prevalent theme because that's what I write when I'm feeling. I don't usually write when I'm happy, because when I'm happy I try to experience it instead of document it, and while it's important to document life, I think it's also important to experience it, but I'd like to write happier. So we're gonna work on that. 3 favorite novels. I narrowed it down to 4, and you're lucky I was able to do that. So The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, because I'm a Fitzgerald fangirl, and that novel just, the joy it gives me, I can't even explain. Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare, because that book made me a fangirl, not just like a Mortal Instruments and Fertile Devices fangirl, but like I did not ship things before I read that book. So that, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. That sounds stupid and predictable, but I don't care, because when I read that going into my freshman year and I felt alone and had no friends, that book was my life. And then Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe, because of the impact it had on the world that it was written in and the relevance that it unfortunately still has today. 3 favorite authors? No, I'm not answering that question. And then the weirdest thing you've ever written, probably one of the 2 novels I wrote in middle school. They were just bad, full of preteen angst and horror, and nope, not talking about that. Okay, so I'm gonna read a thingy that I've written. This was the prologue for my NaNoWriMo 2011 novel. The novel itself was bad. I just sort of trashed it. I'm not even gonna work on it. I hated the narrator, and I hated everything about it. But the prologue was good, but I wrote the prologue before November, which is probably why it was good. So this doesn't really have a title, I just call it the prologue because it's the only prologue I've ever written. Not all battles are fought on fields by armies. Some do not shed the blood of thousands or change a nation's history. Some battles are fought day to day by struggling individuals against themselves. Some are as simple as fighting to get out of bed in the morning, and some as multifaceted as fighting to stay alive. Some battles are not fought outside but inside. Monsters exist. They take over minds and lives, parasitically destroying whomever they possess. The monster that chose me worked slowly and quietly, so subtly that it was years before I realized he had taken hold. He started with a simple pessimism, and grew until I awoke to find myself on the edge of that cliff, teetering precariously. There were days or weeks on end that I never saw. I was consumed. Most days I managed at the very least to make my way out of bed, but as the years went on I found myself locked away in the dark for days or weeks at a time. I began to shy away first from strangers, then those I loved, and eventually I began to wince at the light of day. I lost control of the very person I had once loved to be. As I stood on the edge of that cliff, finally waking up, I began to see all that I had ruined, for myself and those I loved, and considered following the monster, the parasite, down. He wanted me to end it, and why not? I would stop hurting those I cared for if I was no longer here. But as I looked to the eastern horizon for what I assumed to be the last time, I saw the sun once more, and she was like nothing I could have possibly imagined. My writing isn't usually that depressing, but I thought that this sort of setup of that was a good example of my general writing style. So that's it. This has been Monday. I'm really excited about this channel, and I'm really excited to see everybody else's videos this week and into perpetuity. Jacob, I hope I see you tomorrow.